PSG leading the break. Gomes looking for the overlap. Alba inside. It's Messi!
Outside, it plays it inside. Great tackle, but oh, he's finished off by Jenny. It's a run from him, but it's Messi. It's Iniesta! And
the first leg of Champions League semi-finals between Manchester City and Real Madrid just ended as 1-1 draw. It was quite an interesting match, especially for those who love tactical matches, because there were mixed reviews for this match. Some enjoyed it and some didn't. But talking about the match, it was quite neck to neck, and stats as well agree, because City had 56% possession and Madrid had 44% possession. But in terms of shots taken and chances created, the gap isn't big at all, and of course those who watched the match know it as well. So without further ado, let's begin analyzing the match, and let's begin with the lineups of both the teams. Let's start off with Manchester City. They went with the 3-2-4-1 formation. Ederson in goal, our backline Akanji, Diaz, Walker, pivot 2 of Rodri and John Stones, left wing Grealish, right wing Bernardo Silva, our two interiors Gundogan and De Bruyne, and our striker was the machine Erling Haaland. Now talking about Real Madrid's lineup, it went with 4-3-3 formation. Courtois in goal, our backline Camavinga, Alaba, Rudiger and Carvajal. Midfield 3 Modric, Kroos, Valverde, and our front 3 Vinicius on the left, Rodrigo on the right and Benzema up top. So both teams went with their convenient lineups. The strongest 11, the Gala 11s, of course, it is Champions League night. Of course, they would go with the strongest 11. Now let's talk about the first half. And the first half was pretty equal between Manchester City and Madrid. Neither were dominating each other. The idea that Pep had for this match was to have the possession and not allow Madrid to create anything. So to achieve this goal, Pep imposed limitations on his team, such as static movements, less fluidity on the ball, which basically nullified threats for Madrid. Whereas Madrid on the other end went with their classic counter-attack approach, where they went with the low block in defensive phases and then quickly transition into attacking phases with the raw pace of Vinicius, Rodrigo, etc. So City had dominated in terms of possession, but Madrid was sitting in low block and just having like 5 players in their defensive third, and Modric, Valverde, etc. were pressing conservatively while waiting for City to lose possession and then counter-attack. So one of the effective strategies when it comes to low block is to have fluidity on the ball and effective movements between players, but Pep was absolutely rigid, or you could say stubborn, with the system and the goal, so he didn't allow any of this. Now while Madrid was in low block, Modric, Fede, Kroos were cutting lanes in mid block, so because of that City had to go wide multiple times. But it didn't go well, because neither Bernardo nor Grealish flourished there. Camavinga, who is arguably the man of the match, pocketed Silva, and Carvajal did pretty good against Grealish too. So City's creativity, attacking threats, etc. were very low. But not for Madrid, because there were a couple of times in this half where Madrid gave dangerous counterattacks. Neither led to a goal until one in the 36th minute. It was Camavinga who dribbled and gave a pass to Vinicius, who's just class, to be honest. He dribbled brilliantly while inverting and shot the ball outside the box, and honestly, what a belter it was. Ederson should have, maybe he could have, but he couldn't stop it, and it was 1-0 to Real Madrid. Absolutely amazing goal, and Vinicius is just amazing. Like the lethal threat that Vinicius and Rodrigo provide in terms of their 1v1 prowess, pace, everything, and the link ups, everything is just brilliant from these two. Like these two are at their top forms right now. Like, you know, people mention about Mbappe versus Haaland being the big rivalry. Well, maybe Vinicius also comes into this conversation, just like how Neymar used to come for Messi versus Ronaldo conversation. But after the goal, City were kind of shook and started misplacing passes, but the defense was pretty solid. Ruben Diaz had one hell of a clearance when City committed a mistake, although Akanji and Walker were shabby at times. However, City did have their chances, like Rodri's shot outside the box, which Courtois saved, a header from Haaland which was saved too, De Bruyne's goal attempt as well. So there were decent chances from City too. Defensive contributions of Bernardo and Grealish were quite crucial as well for City's defense, as they hanged on until the end of the first half, ending as 1-0. Now talking about the second half, and it was going pretty much the same as first half, but City started looking a bit more shabby with their misplaced passes, pressing at Madrid when they had the ball, because Madrid were making fluid movements against City, so players were getting through very well and creating danger for Manchester City. I was just thinking in my head for Mahrez to come on and probably bring Bernardo in midfield, because creativity was heavily required for City, but De Bruyne changed the plans as he equalized for Manchester City. It was Rodri who won the possession, passed it to Grealish, who then passed it to Gundogan, and to be fair, Gundogan did pretty well in terms of keeping the ball, using his physicality, and then approached De Bruyne, who hit the FIFA 23 power shot outside the box and made it 1-1. There was a little check on the VAR, because before this chance Silva was apparently outside the touchline, so it should have been a throw-in, but he was on the line and goal stood. But after the goal, City didn't look much dominating or anything. They in fact looked more shabby with their misplaced passes, and also Madrid started pressing for the ball. They didn't want to sit back much and started producing dangerous attacks. But City were pretty good in containing those chances, like Benzema's header, Valverde's shot, Tchouaméni's shot, who also came on around the 82nd minute or something like that, etc. This changed Pep's stance, and he kept the team as same to not disturb the flow and let City defend as they were. It did work though, because City endured the pressure and ended the game as 1-1 draw. Both goalkeepers had to be active with fair few saves and did well, but the official man of the match went to De Bruyne, which I'm kind of confused about, because are we forgetting Camavinga's performance, or probably even Vinicius and Rodrigo, who were lethal in 1v1s, in the dribbling, the way they were inverting? Are we gonna forget that? But De Bruyne, of course, he did clutch up, but he wasn't effective as a playmaker whatsoever. Although a point could be said that City played with a pragmatic approach today, which technically doesn't suit De Bruyne. Overall, it was really interesting, and now the second leg is going to be really interesting to look out for. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this detailed analysis, which could have been much more, but the video will be probably 30 minutes long, so we will leave it at here, and pour your support in the comments, likes, subscribe, and I must sign out. Peace.